I'd like to call this month's meeting to order. You all have seen the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. And you've seen the minutes from last month's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Dr. Freeman.
Members, if it's okay, we will skip down just a little bit and we'll circle back to recognitions. Is that okay?
Well, I will say half of them are walking down the hill from west because the GPS took them to the wrong place. So if everybody's okay with it being late.
We can circle back.
Oh, look, here they come.
Okay. Well, first,
Y'all won.
There.
Sorry.
we'll circle back to you.
Thank you, I apologize.
Let him catch the breath. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to consent items, and I recommend the board approve consent items related to out-of-state field trips and overnight field trips.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for consent items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
With regard to trips, overnight trips, I think there's a lot of educational value there in the public school system. Do we have guidelines in place in terms of what level of money we can charge for these trips?
The short answer is no. There's the board policy that is, which is what you just acted on, but in terms of any administrative procedure, we do not. It's a pretty open game for that, which means that fees can oftentimes get really high. There's some encouragement that we do relative to fundraising opportunities to help students offset costs or parents, to try to limit some of the cost. And there are also some things that I've been saying recently to our principals about making sure that we are stating educational value. In fact, much of what you approved tonight are competition related things, but there are some that are not competition, which I think really needs to be stated what educational values exist. So I do think it's a worthwhile exercise that we would develop procedure. And what you're seeing this year, at least for a couple of the members of this board, is new, in fact, because March 2020, we basically suspended so much travel. And last year virtually did nothing. There wasn't competition. So this is almost a revival of bringing back a lot of the things that have historically taken place. So I take that under advisement that develop an administrative procedure that would set some parameters for cost, fundraising, et cetera, would be worthwhile.
I think that would be helpful. Obviously, the trips need to have an educational value, and these do, but it seems to me as a public school system that these trips are part of our core educational offering. We need to make sure that they're available to all of our students and not just those that can afford it.
Well, I certainly think it's within keeping in our ideas about learning without limits. We don't place financial limitations in cases like that. So I appreciate that. I will begin a process of administrative procedure and come back to the board with that. Yes, sir. All right. Are we ready?
We're here.
Back to
Get your breath.
Good. All right. I'm gonna circle back to recognition, and I would like to introduce to you some high flyers in the world of theater. And this group that you see sitting here, distinguished students at Vestavia Hills High School, I will refer to as our state champions in theater. They recently won at the Walter Trumbauer High School Theater Festival. And the Trumbauer Festival has been going on for many years, and it's really the competition opportunity for theater students. And we have a host of very successful ones. At Troy this year, the festival was conducted with Alabama theater students in more than 30 different events. And our high school students won the top prize, Best in Show. And they did that from the show, The Comedy of Errors, which they did, I believe, in November when those performances took place. Sophomore Colton Smith was named Best Leading Actor. Senior Brantley Newsom was named Best Supporting Actor. And seniors Nora and Ryan Trench were named to the All-Star cast. 11 other high school students received individual awards for acting and pantomime, costume, makeup, and sound design, and stage management. And really what I love, Jamie, about what you included in these comments is theater is more than just the acting part. There is a larger component that you've been doing in your programming that is paying dividends because these students have benefited from that. And oftentimes it's behind the scene, the curtain, where a lot of the unsung heroes live. So I want you to introduce this prestigious group to our board this evening and just share your thoughts about them. Come on up.
Come on
Yeah,
up.
let's get you on the camera. You can just get right through here. Yeah.
Forgive me if I read a little bit. So for a few hours, Brantley Newsom was also, in addition to her performance, she was a first place solo acting classical varsity division, which is actually, it's hard because it's a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of Chaucer and a lot of things that the kids aren't necessarily, used to, and Brantley does an excellent job with it. One of the things that our judges commented on with our performance of Comedy Bears is their physicality and their knowledge of Shakespeare is well beyond their years. So it's wonderful to have our students be that comfortable and to be able to perform it that well. Also, I'd like to talk about Nico. Nico was the musical backup for our show. He did an excellent job and received a standing ovation during our show because of how good he was. Natalie Turnage, Bella Grace Baker, Ryan Trench, Colton Smith. I just blanked out. I'm so sorry. Evan Morano, Catherine Buies, Nora Trench, Brantley Newsom. I blanked out again. It's fine. Dakota. Sorry, it's been a long week. It's Monday. It's fine. Dakota. Reagan Kessler, Adeline Smith. Also, Vasalia J. Tasantes, and Maddie Gardner. These students excelled on and off the stage. They did a wonderful job representing us. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that one of the backstage people from the university said, your students were so incredibly polite. They were respectful of all the rules. They did an amazing job. And I will say, we expanded this show from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. And then in a week, we compressed it back down to 30 minutes because we DQ at 30 minutes and a second. So it's a little intense because you set up, perform, and take it all down within 30 minutes. And our students did an excellent job. And we had a backup plan. If we got to 28 minutes and we were going to DQ, we never got to that. So we finished at 27 minutes and 30 seconds. So I'm very proud of them. They're definitely a dream team. A lot of times when you go into competition, you don't know how well you're going to do. And with these young students, I just knew if they did their best that there's no one that could stop them. And that's exactly what they did. Incredibly proud of them.
Congratulations. Do we have any seniors that are aspiring to theater in college? Or
We do. Trenchers, Bella Grace. If y'all would like to step out, Bella Grace might be music, but the Trenchers are definitely acting and musical theater. One of the things that we focus on in our program is that we don't need all these actors and actresses necessarily. We need audience members as much as we need performers and technicians. And also the fact that theater can be used in any facet of your world for the rest of your life. Whether it's the operating room, the courtroom, or the classroom, acting, theater, and the dedication and the skills that they use can be used in any one of those worlds. So that's what we really focus on with our students.
You have aspirations as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Oh, Evan, sorry.
I can just tell from back here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, y'all are free to go, guys.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you very much for recognizing us. We appreciate the support for our community.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you.
All right.
We're going to do roll call, so remember.
Our next agenda item is financial statement.
Good afternoon, board members. I've provided the November 2021 financial statements and check register for your review. As of November 2021, we have collected 7.4% of our budgeted ad valorem tax revenues compared to the 6% that we had received this time last year. Our total expenditures in the general fund as of November the 30th were 17% of the budget compared to 15.8% last year. All things being equal, we would be at 16.66% of our budgeted expenditures. This is a little higher due to the fact that some annual payments have already been made, like our Chromebook leases and insurance premiums. And our monthly financial statements and check registers are posted on the board website after they are approved, and all board bank accounts have been reconciled as of November 30th, 2021.
Board members, I recommend that you approve the financial statement for November 2021.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for the approval of the financial statement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under business, item A, I recommend the board approve the owner-architect agreement for Vestavio's elementary Dolly Ridge field lighting.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of item A. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Board members, I do want to note on that project that we were able to purchase the lights off of the state contract. The labor part will be bidding, so I expect in January to bring that to you. But also to note that the field had extensive renovation when we occupied the campus. It's now, it was graded and set in such good shape. It has a irrigation system. Our next series of projects there, we realize is some accessibility things we want to do down on the field. So just know that those things are down the line, but we're attentive and attuned to that. Item B, I recommend the board approve the change order number 2 for package D for the Columbiana Road improvements.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for change order number 2 for package D, the Columbiana Road improvements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Item C, I recommend the board approve the resolutions honoring the Educator Hall of Fame inductees.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of resolutions honoring the Educator Hall of Fame inductees. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And, that is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Vestavia High School. So
That's right.
be there.
Be a great event, be a great event. And just so I read this, make sure I won't read the resolution, of course, but just the names of inductees and an appreciation first for a committee that does this each year and selects from what is a distinguished group of educators for 50 years in our school system. Much appreciation to them for doing that. But tomorrow night, we will recognize the resolutions inductees to the 2021 Hall of Fame, which are John Rush, Rick McKay, Michael Gross, Barbara Grant, and Sammy Dunn. I look forward to that evening. It'll be a special time. Okay, item D, I recommend the board approve the contract for athletic apparel.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of the contract for athletic apparel. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Coach Miles is here tonight. Thought you might have some questions on that. We'll be glad to field those for you.
Coach Miles, and this may be for you as well, kind of along the lines of my questions related to the overnight field trips. Do we have a general approach in terms of which teams charge for uniforms and which teams they're just provided as a matter of course if you're selected to participate?
I think in the past, it's always worked in their budgets. I don't think we have anything, and again, I'm speaking from, I've been here for 6 months.
Right.
Some places roll out maybe 3 teams per year that uniforms are provided for in the big budget world, but that's not a world we usually live in right now. So it's always built in, I think, into the fundraising. And I do want to say something that we do offer options to parents on our fundraising. And one of the things that we're trying so hard to get away from is there's always going to be a cost, but we are giving options. And a lot of our parents just choose to write a check for the total of the Spirit Pack instead of, in previous places I've been, they sold ads, whatever, and they didn't even have to get money out of their pockets. So that option is there. So I think it works. I think it works for that. I think it's a lot of planning involved. And I think that each individual sport, some sports probably do a little bit more than they need to. But as you all know, the times are right now, everybody's got to look good. If you look good, you feel good. You know, that's our case. You know, we're literally recruiting our own kids to stay happy about what's going on in the trend of what's going on in the world.
And athletic apparel is not to be connected to spirit packs
No.
necessarily.
This is middle school, high school uniforms they play, right?
Absolutely.
And I know you haven't been here a full year yet, but going forward, how will we communicate the fundraising opportunities to the parents? Because I know coaches tell kids something,
Sure.
but by the time they go through practice and school and come home, they don't always remember what was said and what wasn't said, so.
I agree. And here's the thing that we're in the process right now of restructuring booster clubs. So I think that everybody will be pleased the direction that we are moving. We will get specific bylaws in place, and that will all take care of everything. We're in a lit world of social media right now, email. There's no reason for parents not to understand or know what we're doing within our programs, what is costing what expenses are what, how are we covering that. So hopefully we're going to be moving in the positive side of the communication side of all of this stuff. So
Do we have a plan? So I know it's a contract with a specific, so I assume we have some sports that will have to move over. We have a plan for the next couple of years?
we have a 2-year grace period. And so what that means is, you know, the thing is, the reason I haven't gone into depth with any of our coaches really is because I wanted you guys to get your eyes on it first. It's a very good situation for us, and it'll be a 7 through 12. It's very important to me. I know Ms. Roselle, and to you as board and superintendent, everybody is going to be on the same page, 7 through 12. It's not a 9 through 12 deal. Will some schools get more than others? The high school will probably play into a lot of it, but the middle schools will absolutely be involved in it. And they'll be involved in it right out of the gate. I mean, because of the incentive part of it that we got.
I know we talked about social media, but follow Coach Miles, because you're a lot like Santa Claus, because I look at your posts and things and you're in multiple places at the same time. So I don't know how you do it, so.
A lot of help.
Yeah.
Exciting things to talk about. Just recently introduced a website.
Oh, we've got a tremendous website, y'all. I mean, right now, we've been focused upon the winter, because that's what we're in. So we're backloading now, but we've got even some more real exciting stuff coming in 2 weeks that is cutting edge, and we're gonna be the leader of the pack. I promise you that.
It's exciting.
Thank you for the contract. I mean, this is the first step to move our athletics organization into the future, right? It is. Look good, you play good. I mean, kids have heard that since the day they were born. And it's important. It's important to these kids. It's important to the community. So thank you for putting this together. I know it's an excellent idea.
Absolutely.
Right, she's doing a lot. I mean, it's not just uniforms and fields and facilities. You're doing a lot behind the scenes, such as these type things that people won't ever see. So thank you for that.
Bring Coach back in March to give you some more insight into the work she's been doing, post strategic plans, and she's been here too. So thanks, Coach. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Item E, I recommend the board approve the textbook committee for language arts.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of the textbook committee for language arts. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8, I recommend the board approve the personnel actions as submitted.
Board, you've had a chance to look at the personnel actions and you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve personnel actions? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Board members, I'd like to make just a few brief comments regarding our strategic plan, and I want to do it from just the lens of our mission statement. And oftentimes we talk about our mission statement, providing all of our students opportunities to learn without limits. And oftentimes I don't mention what I refer to as the pillars of the mission that I think are important. And it's also important that I always acknowledge that we know there are always be limitations, but it's a goal for us, aspirational to do it. We only do it when we're most able to use these pillars for any decisions we make. And so when I talk about those pillars, I mean a safe and nurturing environment, the courage to be creative, appreciation of diversity, and multiple paths to a bold future. What is most important to me about that is the fifth pillar that undergirds all of it. We're not able to do any of these things effectively without the community support that we have historically had, and I'm confident we'll continue to have. And to that end, when our strategic plan was developed in the summer of 2000, or finished in the summer of 2019, we began a process of looking ahead to the future and determining what our next 50 years we would want to start those looking like. And so in a matter of a couple of years, interrupted in part by a pandemic, we assembled a number of what I refer to as design teams that undertook the challenge of looking at what we're doing now and what we would like to do in the future. So over 300 stakeholders in our community, in addition to those who participated in surveys and interviews, et cetera, participated in exercises that included assessments of our facilities, of our security and safety plans, of our energy use. We also shifted into areas such as looking at mental health needs, what a STEM, K-12 STEM program would look like. We had groups that met regarding fine arts and athletics. So over these last couple of years, we've looked at how we might best design for the future. And what I want to share with you essentially tonight is that when you're thinking about a vision for the future, and I'm stealing from people a lot smarter than me, the first thing you want to identify is the problem. And I've listed for you what I believe is the problem that we think about with our visions. We have limitations in providing the three goals for our students: providing learning experiences for our students that are profound, confronting those challenges that they face, and providing the resources and facilities that optimize learning and performance. The solution is a threefold one, is that we invest in safe and efficient facilities, comparable and dynamic spaces that provide profound and supportive learning experiences for our students. And I would summarize that by saying why is because we have gaps, we have limitations to doing those things. And I think today our wants are now our needs. So thinking about our future and these priorities, we want to spend the next several months talking to you about these priorities. I'd like to share with you in board meetings in the second semester what some of this looks like. So you hear things about the K-12 STEM program, about mental health supports, about our arts programs. I mentioned because Miles will be talking about athletics. We'll be talking about the facilities improvements, things that we want to do. The idea is for you to get fully attuned to what the vision priorities are and lay those out for you. I want to be mindful in this report, though, to tell you there are a couple of things that are important for us to consider. The first is that there's a broad range of needs that we have in our system. We're fortunate in that the board in its actions in 2015 and 16 developed a plan that supports the enrollment side. You know, we added Pizzitz, we added Dolly Ridge. We have capacity in space for many years to come. We do not anticipate needing a high school at any point, no matter what developments occur. We do think we could eventually need elementary space. But that being said, student enrollment is not something that's pressing upon us now. What we're able to do is think about the current facilities we do have, the spaces that we have, the programs that we have, and what we can do to make those better. So being mindful of that, there continues to be this growing and diverse range of things that we want to provide for our students. And that means we need to use every bit of space that we can. So we have had a lot of conversation and a lot of participation and cooperation with the city since I've been here, at least. I can speak to in supporting shared spaces. And this board looked at a shared use agreement a couple of years ago, and we just continue to build on that. and making sure we leverage and maximize all of our spaces. And so we're looking at every available space. Because if we have to do capital work on campuses, which we aspire to do, it can put pressure on landlocked campuses like the high school. So all of our spaces that include all of our campus spaces, all of our additional properties such as Central, are conversations we're having. They're only design and conceptual type things, but both us and the city are having to weigh into these things and think about what's the best use of space that meets a multitude of needs that we have and the city has. The second thing to note is that when you're looking at a vision, that means that there are financial questions you have to ask. And so we want to continue to evaluate what our financial outlook is for the next several years. This board has a goal of 2 months of a general operating reserve. Right now, we have just above 1, but we want to continue to build that. So we have to be financially responsible in all the decisions we make, and all the purchases we make, and all the staffing that we do. Being mindful of that, also realizing that there's a big vision in front of us that we're developing, that we want to eventually bring to a point where we're ready to do something about it. So I just wanted to give you a precursor into what the next few meetings will like in our second semester and what our board reports will consist of. Are there things that come to your mind that you want me to be prepared to speak to? That I haven't already mentioned?
Well, you've kind of touched on it, but I think we need to stress that anything is conceptual and in just, in exploratory for us. I know we're getting emails and communications, thinking certain properties are going to be used a certain way, and nothing is in stone right now. So people need to be aware of that.
That's right. And we want to be very respectful to that whole process and everyone that's involved. I appreciate you saying that.
Dr. Frank, I was not here I'm the newbie, right? So all the expansion and everything that's been so exciting in our community with the new facilities and the freshman campus and the Presents campus and everything that's going on. So coming into it with a fresh light, I guess. But I'm also equally excited, more excited to see then, okay, everything's in place, all the space is provided. So the, updates or renovations that bring everything together to ensure that we remain the beacon of school systems, not only in just our performance, but in our facilities, and it all goes together.
I agree, and I think I love the idea of spaces being comparable and dynamic, and also being mindful that it's academics, arts, and athletics when we're talking about the full array of things we want to do for our students. So it's an exciting prospect. A lot of people have weighed in to where they want to take our vision, and so we want to keep defining those plans, developing those plans, and eventually bring those to you.
Jay, just kind of touch on, I was at something Friday evening at East, and there were parents, Vestavia parents there, and people who weren't in the school system there. And the compliments, especially the ones from Vestavia, they were like, this is the oldest facility we have, but walking through it, you wouldn't realize it. It's today's standards and even looking forward, because the way y'all teach is different from how it was when we went to school already. But people were very complimentary of the facility in East for sure.
Right. So I'm proud of the way they all look, and also mindful of the age in which they carry with them. And some things that we have to do behind the wall, so to speak. So, all right, look forward to those coming up meetings, talking with you more. All right.
Everybody have anything? Okay, well, with that, we are in the holidays, so I want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and safe. And if you travel, please be very safe and come on back. And we'll see you tomorrow night. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.